It's Mrs. Richter and Eli.
Hi.
And we decided, since we were talking about plants this week, that we would read you from the Adventures of Frog and Toad, that we would read you a story called The Garden. And this is one of our favorite stories. I was wondering, Eli, in this book, if you know what it means to be patient. Not sure. So here's what I want to do. I want to see if we can figure out what it means to be patient by the end of the story, okay? All right, here we go. Frog was in his garden and Toad came walking by. What a fine day. What a fine day and a beautiful garden you have, Frog, he said. Yes, said Frog. It is very nice, but it is so much hard work. I wish I had a garden, said Toad. Well, here are some flower seeds. Why don't you plant them in the ground, said Frog.
And soon you will have a garden. How soon? asked Frog. Quick soon, said Frog.
Quite soon, said Frog. Toad ran home and he planted the flower seeds. Now seeds, said Toad, start growing. Toad walked up and down a few times and the seeds did not grow.
Toad put his head close to the ground and said loudly, now seeds, start growing. Toad looked at the ground again. The seeds did not start to grow.
Toad put his head very close to the ground and he shouted, now seeds, start growing. And Frog came running up the path. What's all this noise, he asked. My seeds, they won't grow, said Toad. Well, you're shouting way too much, said the Frog. These poor seeds, they're afraid to grow. My seeds are afraid to grow? Now let me ask you this. If I tell you that Toad is not being patient, what do you think it means? He's not being patient. He's saying, my seeds won't grow. What do you think? Do you know? Do you know? Okay, well, we'll talk about it in a bit.
Of course, said Frog. Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them. Let the rain fall on them. Soon your seed will start to grow.
Yeah. Okay, so Frog is being patient. That night, Toad looked out the window. Drat, said Toad, my seeds have not started to grow yet. They must be afraid of the dark. And he went out there with some candles. I'm going to read them a story and get them to grow. And then maybe they won't be afraid. And so Toad read a really long story to his seeds. He's so impatient. Go ahead.
All the next day, Toad sang songs to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad read poems.
Yeah.
To his seeds. And all the next day, Toad played music for his seeds. Toad looked at the ground. The seeds still did not start to grow. What shall I do? cried Toad. Those must be the most frighteningest seeds in the whole world. Then Toad felt very tired. He fell asleep.
Toad, wake up, said Frog. Look at your garden. Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming up out of the ground. At last, shouted Toad, my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow, and now you will have a nice garden too, said Frog. Yes, said Toad, but you were right. This was a lot of really, really hard work. Took him a really long time. But I have to tell you something. I think that Toad, when he was yelling at his seeds, he was not being very patient. Do you know what patient means now? Do you know what patient means now? Patient means sometimes
waiting for something that you need to do.
Yeah, sometimes you
How did I even know?
Sometimes you have to wait for things. You have to be very, very patient.
Like you want to do.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Like I want to go to the store and get a toy. My mother says, you gotta wait.
Yeah, you
And
gotta wait. That's
you
true.
gotta wait.
Now I gotta ask you this. Did Toad have to do all that work to make the flowers grow, or would they have grown on their own?
They would have grown on their own.
What do they need to grow? What do
Sun,
Sun, what else?
water,
Water, what else?
dry, and then grass.
Soil.
Soil.
Yeah, they need water, they need sunlight, they
Soil.
need soil, they need those things to grow. And guess what? They do it all by themselves. You don't even have to talk to them, you don't have to play the violin for them. They'll do it all on their own. We liked this story.
Base is fast asleep.
And we studied plants this week, so that next week we will be talking all about Earth Day, taking care of our planet, and we have a super fun story to tell you about some sea turtles that we read about, right? All right, sleep tight, boys and girls. Have a good night.